A brief history though. So in 2016, that's where Angkas came to be, under the guidance of the now CEO George Rijeka and the likes of Miss Tam, who is the predecessor who used to occupy the CEO position. So in 2016, they did a lot of services to add it to its supposed use, as well as like padala services, pabili services, and of course passenger services. 2021, Miss Tam resigned, and of course Sir Yurayeka assumed position. Now 2022, that was a time wherein we have to go out already. We're now in face masks, everyone can resume their schedules. Protocols have to be followed as well. Even until now, there are some people that still wear face masks, but programs regarding both the safety of the passenger and the biker have also been reenacted as well. So, what was used before Angkas came to be? Well, in terms of like app use, we have the likes of Grab and Uber. Grab being the first, so in 2013 it came to the Philippines. In 2015, Uber came to the Philippines but left the Philippines in 2018 permanently. So, a lot of things could be said here. They do offer much secure and much safer options for commute. I believe at that time they priced it well, that even taxis have to compete with them for the best price, especially when they have navigation devices to be able to connect with them and both the rider and so on and so forth, but none have yet to offer something similar to those who ride in motorcycles. So Angkas has now been so localized that it knows its community more. Escaping traffic is one of their priorities that both the biker and the rider would agree upon, and a lot of these things could be agreed with regards to how they price the payment. So about 1 kilometer would cost you about 55 pesos, or something about along the lines of 80 pesos. And in some ways it could be cheaper than availing a Grab taxi. So what were the earliest kinds of myths or perspectives that people in the Philippines had? Well, walking is the more viable option because you don't spend the money and you just simply have to like walk hills, mountains, heights of roads just to arrive at your destination. So either way, before Angkas became successful, this was an option. Another one is habal-habal. I know it came from a Cebuano or Visayan term meaning like mating, because you're like attached to each other. But in this case, even if you're in a motorcycle, you can still put a plank resembling seats for many people, and you can still balance it out in that vehicle. In this case, habal-habal is also a popular way for provincial citizens to commute even until they reach their destination. But this could not be said here in the city, so taxis became the more viable option, as they could be cheaper, but you'd also have to tell the driver specifically where you're going. So what was changed? So aside from the fact that you sacrificed the luxury of enjoying the ride just so that you could reach your destination at a very low cost way of you budgeting your money, nowadays when you walk, you're supposed to spend your energy at time that it's much more needed. So a ride would definitely help you, especially if the ride allows you to arrive on time. What was changed with Habal Habal? Basically, it's an invasion of space and privacy, so it's a no-no. And of course, taxis. You have to haggle for both the price and for the location you'll be dropped on. I myself am a taxi rider. I have experienced Grab before, but nevertheless, you'll always have to deal with the driver. So in this case, for Angkas, you don't need to haggle with the driver with regards to the price. So, how is it applicable to society, the Filipino society in general? Well, because Angkas is made up of components that involve the driver, the rider, the app, the motorcycle, and all the safety gear, you're supposed to take it as one and not just focus on what actually makes Angkas Angkas. I did say that the product is indeed the driver who would bring you to your destination, but applying Angkas and all its usefulness, you'll have to take it as a whole. So, combining that fact, here's one thing that could be highlighted by this. Yes, we do know that all of the benefits are there. Convenience, allotted time, because the driver knows your destination and the driver knows where you are. This is one thing to be looking forward to. So, how did Angkas opt to change the landscape here in the Philippines? So, one thing is for certain, about 90% of the 18 million Filipinos, mostly in the city, would struggle in their budget for commute. And commute over time can be very, very expensive. If you count them a lot, and maybe they'd be forced to simply walk to their destination without the feeling that they could have saved up their energy for the walking in somewhere like an errand. So this is where things can be applicable when you use Angkas as a whole. Another part here is that even though 15% of Filipinos prefer to use motorcycles to commute, because of the growing traffic, as people are opted to come out of their own homes to work in the offices, traffic will indeed be intense. So most likely it won't be just 15% of people who would opt for motorcycles, but then also for those who would switch to Angkas. And lastly, of course, we have about 27% of people who are Filipinos, who are engineers, that are actually making apps in this field. So in the field of like travel apps, we're able to have Filipinos who could give us these technologies because they know the Philippines better, they know what matters most to the Filipinos. And a segue though, Angkas has been the top one app for travel. So even though it had like 50k downloads only compared to like Grab and stuff like that, it doesn't change the fact that it has been used time and time again for it to be considered the top one in the Philippine mobile app statistics. So with that being said, thank you and